You probably have a good idea about what Ash, Ismail, and I are going to be talking about today because you guys brought out a damn pyramid here. What is this like for you, Ash, to see a set like this? You've had some incredible displays already. You had at E3, you had the big stage presentation with hieroglyphics behind you that actually meant something. But you guys have been, locked on screens and just cranking on building this game. What's it like to see this physicalized like this?
It's been amazing. I mean, we've been on this for 4 years now, so we're right at the end. So to all of a sudden have it, since E3, to all of a sudden have it be so much more public and having these wonderful sets and being able to do these types of events and preview events, have people play the game, it's really gratifying. At the end of the day, we're making games to give entertainment to other people and to see them derive enjoyment from that, to see the people talking online about it. It's really thrilling, gives us a lot of energy to keep pushing, keep going. So it's a thrill. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
You, speaking of online, you had stuff leak early, as often happens in this industry. What happens in the studio when that stuff starts, bandying around and you see images of things that aren't supposed to be out there yet?
Yeah, I mean, we deal with it. At some point it's out of your hands, and we accept that. At some point on our level, we're developers, we're making the game, and we need to believe in what we're making, and we need to keep pushing for that. So I wouldn't say it has a major impact. Aside from, we want to make sure that what we show is, authentically the game that we're making. I think that's the most important part. Is sometimes with that kind of stuff, we want to make sure that we're showcasing the game properly as to what it truly is.
Right.
Having said that, we're focused on making the game.
And I guess this is just it's a reality that we all exist in now, right? Like a quick picture on a cell phone could turn into a reveal before its time. But you guys aren't really focused on marketing as much as making along the way.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we are, I'm the game director. My job is to conceive of what is the experience we want to have? What is the experience we want our players to enjoy? And so we're focused on that. And that's from a macro perspective down to the micro details of, how does this little ability work, or how does combat work? That's our main focus, that's our job. Of course, near the end of that, when the game is coming together and we are at the stage where we're announcing and having people play the game, for sure now we jump in front of the camera and we start talking about it, and it's a pleasure to be able to talk about it, especially since we put in so much energy. But no, our focus is really the development side. That's what I'm good at. I'm not you in front of the camera. That's not my skill.
You're pretty damn good at it, brother.
Thank you.
Now, Black Flag is one of my favorite games that Ubisoft has produced.
Thank you.
And I know that was a big passion project for you. What did Black Flag teach you about Assassin's Creed that made you guys ready for Origins?
We actually, we learned a lot from Black Flag. One of the first things that we did is, as the game came out, we started looking at the way people played the game and consumed the game. And one thing we saw was there was this kind of even split between warrior playstyles and stealth playstyles. And we asked ourselves, okay, if people play the game this way, how can we go deeper down that road where we allow them to kind of play the type of assassin they want to play? One is not better than the other. And so this is what led us to start thinking about the way the ability system would work, the RPG elements of the game. We felt that by going more RPG, it allowed players to kind of more specifically craft the kind of character they want to play it, gameplay-wise, and even why we went to a quest structure is to allow players to kind of consume the game as they want. So that was actually a reflection from the way people had played Black Flag. And then the other element, more concretely, is actually the naval. We looked at the naval and we saw the amount of hours people put into the naval, which was kind of amazing. It was an aberration in the stats, the amount of time people played naval.
It was fun.
Thank you. I'm super happy with it. I'm proud of it. But we asked ourselves, okay, what was it? Beyond just being a pirate fantasy, what was it that allowed people to play for that long? And we looked at things like gameplay challenge, the upgrade system, and those were things that helped us create the combat system that we have, having boss fights. It's one of the ways that we said, okay, we need to make a fight system that allows us to do boss fights because it works. It gives, that challenge that is way too hard right now, but you see the path to getting to it. And so it was reflecting off of the naval combat, actually.
Well, I mean, one of the things about Black Flag that I think I'm experiencing in the little taste tests that I've been getting of Origins so far is that it could live in isolation. It could live outside of the confines of the Assassin's Creed franchise, which I guess is one of these interesting dilemmas that you guys have. You create a fictional escape that's so fulfilling, but then you have to also sort of tie it into a story that is becoming increasingly more complicated. I haven't seen any of that in the Origin stuff that I've been able to play. I've just seen my character desynchronize. Was there ever a moment for you guys where you just said, we're not going to have this future connection, we're just going to keep it all in Egypt?
Well, our goal when we started this game was, we knew we were going to be coming up to the 10-year anniversary. There's many titles. We needed to bring something fresh and different. That was our true objective was, can we make a drastically different AC but still somehow authentically AC?
Right.
That was the challenge. Being set in Egypt, being so far back in time, we're over 1,000 years before AC1, it was a natural path for us to start thinking about the origin story. And by going through the origin story, it means that, we can start talking about a narrative that is much more about people having kind of normal problems, let's say, or maybe kind of extreme problems,
right?
But they're relatable. And so this kind of put us on a path where, okay, it's you don't need to know the previous lore, you don't need to know the other stuff. Now we're going to explain how some of that stuff comes in,
right? And
you'll see the story of the inception of that kind of stuff, which was a really fun opportunity.
Because there are tons of fans that go in that direction, and
exactly.
You have to think about them too, right?
Exactly. We wanted to make a game that the fans would love, but also newcomers could easily attach to, and it would make sense to them.
Yeah. Was the word reboot ever thrown around?
No, we actually wanted to make a game that was completely coherent with the games that have already existed,
right.
With the lore, with the universe of AC. That was actually important for us. We were changing the experience of it, the gameplay of it, the narrative structure of it, but we never wanted to steer away from the lore that was there. We wanted to actually just say, we're starting so far back in time that we don't need to right away start explaining it.
Yeah.
But that you can subtly get into it without going into all the details, just slowly get into it. For fans, for newcomers.
What was the biggest fight that you guys had with the changes that you made to this one?
This was a challenging production, for sure. Because we were fundamentally changing this series that's really large and that's huge, and it's one of the flagship, games of Ubisoft. So by saying we want to change everything, you get some resistance to that for sure. And we had to prove things, I had to showcase a lot of the work that we did, the prototypes, to make sure people were buying into what we believed in,
right.
As well.
Right.
As an example, adding an RPG element into a stealth game is not easy to do.
Yeah.
Especially a game that, prided itself on doing things like air assassinations, where you just jump on the guy and you do a one-hit, one-kill.
Yeah.
But we assumed it. We said, no, you need to commit yourself to being an assassin.
It is a weird thing when you do an air strike on somebody and they don't die because you're not leveled up enough, because you're in an RPG, and every other Assassin's Creed that I've ever done that in, I've wiped them out right away.
Yeah, well, the thing for us, the cue was, okay, if you want to be that stealthy assassin that is a one-hit kill kind of player, okay, dedicate yourself to that. You can get there.
Yeah.
And it's not about purely leveling up, actually. You can actually kill guys who are higher level than you.
Yes.
As long as you have the right abilities, craft your hidden blade. It's really about the stealth damage concept and the abilities you have. But the idea is, our proposal is, work for it. You want it? Okay, no problem. You can get there quite fast, actually.
Yeah.
But work for it. People do play the game in different ways. You have the people who don't play stealth at all.
Yeah.
And the idea was, how can we put it all on level, even playground for everybody? But allow things like a ranger playstyle to work, to allow like a manipulations playstyle to work, but still be fair. You get what you want, but just work for it. And part of that is also that, yes, if you wanted that air assassinate to kill the guy right away, you can get there. But the fact that it doesn't work that way anymore also proposes to show you that, hey, the game is different.
Yeah.
Pay attention to your gear. Pay attention to your stats.
Yes.
It's not just free. We ask you to pay attention to it.
When you play the game now, and we're inches from completion of at least the beginning part, the launch of the game, which is the beginning of a game now. It feels like. Does it feel like the game you wanted to make?
It's funny. I'm sure once the game launches and we do, who knows what, some GDC talks or whatever, we'll show some of the early prototypes that we made of the game, the early concepts, even the keywords that we would use to inspire ourselves, inspire the team.
Yeah. What were those?
As an example, let's say for combat specifically, we built the combat system using prototyping like with Flash, with Unity 3D.
Oh, wow.
And we had a fully running system that I could show you today. they would see, okay, 4 years later, that's pretty much the fight system with little balls and cylinders running around.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we early, the first 2 years was really prototyping a lot of stuff, taking the concepts that we thought about that on paper looked nice, sounded good, and really iterating on them to make them come to life. In terms of Egypt itself, and we settled on the time period quite quickly. So, linking the birth of the Brotherhood to this, crucible of history, this time period where the old world is dying. This is what we set out to do. So yes, this was the game we wanted to make. I'm thrilled that we had the time to make the game we wanted to make.
Right.
I get a lot of questions about what did that extra year do for you guys. It wasn't like we got an extra year and just decided, what do we do with this? We needed that time to make this game.
Right.
If we didn't have that time, we wouldn't be shipping Origins as it is.
Was it a different development philosophy for this game? Was it a different process than, say, working on Black Flag?
It's pretty much the same core team.
Yeah.
So I think in terms
Which is
of
amazing,
process,
right?
Yes. It's wonderful. We have
Because
synergy together.
Black Flag is enormous, and
Yes.
people stayed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We had a blast making that. That was a very joyful production experience, and the marketing side of it, and then even post-launch, it was, the reaction from fans was really wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's the same group of people. So I think from a process point of view, there is a lot of similarity. How we think about prototyping, how we think about gameplay. I think people will feel, I hope, and I've heard it actually, that somehow this game is set in Egypt, but it has feelings of Black Flag in it.
Yeah.
I think it's the philosophical aspects of making games. We brought in the same philosophies of what we think about in terms of design, experiences, and so on. I would say the process wasn't necessarily different. We had a lot more time.
Yeah.
And the things we wanted to touch were way bigger, way more. We were fundamentally changing a lot of stuff. So there was a natural challenge in that. Having said that, we made it very clear with upper management, we need the time to make this game.
When you look at it, and I played it on the Xbox One X on a 4K TV, it's ridiculous how much detail is in this game. Birds flying and hippos coming out. Honestly, for my first 5 minutes, I had hippos and alligators and
Amazing.
And a
Yes.
jaguar. It was just
It's a dangerous world.
Leave me alone. They were all coming to get me. And you guys make this expansive thing, but it's incredibly crowded. And what do you think it is about this franchise that has resonated, that people still care about? What are the core things that keep this going?
I think the most obvious stuff is, we're one of the only series that plays with history in a very credible and direct way. So, having an open world where you're a third-person character, where you are meeting people like Cleopatra and Caesar, I think that resonates with a lot of people for sure.
Yeah.
There's not many games that do that to this level of connection. If I was to go with the less obvious, my perspective on it is, I think there is a level of inclusivity to AC, of diversity within the series itself. Our first hero in the series was a guy from Syria. That's a very wonderful thing.
I still remember that message that popped up.
Exactly.
The diverse faiths and group of people, and we made this for you, and it was incredible.
Exactly. I think there is this element of inclusiveness and diversity that's inherent to the series that I think does draw in a lot of people and makes them feel comfortable. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And we have fans in Italy, we have fans in South America, we have fans all over the world, and it's really wonderful that you see that they all galvanize with their cultures and backgrounds, but they galvanize around their love of AC, and that's a really wonderful, gratifying thing. So yes, we have the history, yes, we have stealth, and we have combat, we have the things that might attract different audiences, but I firmly believe that there is this unique sense that our game carries. Actually, other games do that I love. I'll just say it now, Overwatch. I love Overwatch because of this sense of inclusivity and diversity that they have in their character set. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So it's something I feel that we have as well, and I think it does bring in a lot of people.
That's amazing. We're going to end on this. I want to hear sort of what your thoughts are about the team that you have just worked on and what you have gone through together, because I know a lot of people that watch our content want to make games and want to work with big teams like the team that worked on Origins. Tell me what's special about your team.
I will say I don't believe in, I sometimes hear people saying we're the perfect team. There's no such thing as perfection. There's no such thing as the best. You have to believe in one another. You have to communicate. You have to be honest with one another. One thing I love about our team is people have no issues telling me they don't like something, they don't believe in something. That's okay. I need that feedback. We need to constantly challenge ourselves. I firmly believe that producer, creative director, game director, artist, programmer, designer, these are people who need to work together, who have to challenge one another. When we're saying we're going to change combat, we're going to change narrative, we're going to change all this stuff, at some point you don't have proof of it,
Yeah.
And people need to believe in one another, and they need to trust one another, and that's something that we have on the team. And it's in all my history of making games, I've been in the industry for almost 13 years now, and even making mods before that, from Black Flag to Origins. It's been one of the most wonderful, pleasurable experiences developing a game, because we're gonna sweat and bleed for this game, but we're all after the same thing, and that's what I think makes our team special. Is we always have our eye on the prize.
Ash, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
your
you.
passion bleeds through in everything that you say.
Wonderful, thank you.
And I've had it with playing these early little tiny taste tests. I want the whole game. I can't wait to play
Yes.
Origins, and I can't wait to catch up with you after I do.
The Order will tear our Egypt apart. What will you do, Medjai?
Assassin's Creed Origins.